Good evening and a warm welcome to everyone who have joined online. My name is Manpreet from Brahma Kumari's Calgary Center. Just want to check the sound is okay and the live stream. We might ask you for the reflection during the session, so just check that you are able to access your live chat box. If you are not able to access that, please log in with your email ID or with the Facebook account. Once again, thank you so much joining this series that is self-care, improving the quality of everyday life. So, let's start this journey again from your outer world towards the inner world. Because the virtues are the habits of us, are the habits of being, which shows our behavior and the personality. And today we're going the journey on the flexibility in our life. So, when I say flexibility, what comes into your mind at the very first point? The first word that comes in your mind. What do you mean by flexibility in our daily life, in our day-to-day activities? It's not about something special needs to happen in our life. No. Now take few seconds and think. What do you think the flexibility is? Or let me rephrase this question for you. Let's see this in the other way. Now visualize that situation in your life. What was that specific situation that you were unable to be flexible? In that moment, you were inflexible. It could be in your relationship, or at your workplace, or in your friend circle, or in family. Take few seconds and think about it. That moment when you were inflexible. Let's move on. Let's discuss a small definition of flexibility. So, the flexibility is the ability of individual to be modified easily in any situation. Or, in other ways, we can say the willingness to change. There is no resistance. I am accepting that moment. That is flexibility. Let's move on to the topic and start our topic with a story. And as every time I ask you to keep pen and paper with you so that you can take some notes. So let's discuss the story, an inspirational story of the spring inside the pen. We all know, right? This is the pen, there is a spring inside. So it's a story about the flexibility and adaptability. Story of the spring. Once upon a time, there was a spring who was living happily life inside the pen. He was so content and satisfied from his life, although there was nothing good in that. But even one thought of not being there inside the pen makes him scared all the time. And he always heard so many noises coming from outside. But he doesn't want to leave that pen. He's happy there and he's keep living that life. And he's okay to live the whole life inside that tiny space while sacrificing, while stretching, compacting, no matter. One day, the ink was ran out from the pen. And when the owner was busy in changing that ink, that pen, the spring was flung into the air. And it landed into the water, into the drainage. Now you can visualize that situation, how that spring would feel after leaving that, the whole world, that was just that, the pen. After keep going to the pipe after pipe, he even not able to open his eyes during this journey, nor stop crying. He was keep beeping, keep crying, and he was thinking that this might be the end of my life because I left that space that was my whole world. Now think about that situation when he gave up, that now there is nothing behind. I'm just going away from my life. Take your thoughts to this journey so you can realize more. So that spring was keep going on and on after and after pipe, and at the end he drained into the river. So after a few minutes, when that water current lost its force, the spring start hearing the sounds around him. He heard the sound, the song of the birds and the wind in the trees. So, after this, he encouraged himself at the end to open his eyes. And what he saw the green, rich rocks around him, the crystal clear, beautiful water, the all colors of fish. He stopped crying. At that moment, when he looked around, he realized that there is something bigger space outside than the small pen that is waiting for us to enjoy in our life. And from that moment, when he realized that there is something beautiful, enjoyable, joyful is waiting outside for me, he realized, he decided to move on, leaving behind all the fear, the anxiety. So, after playing some time with the fishes and spending some time at the riverbank, he go ahead and he went to the field of flowers. He heard the beeping sound there. And he followed that sound and reached to that flower which was flattened, which has been flattened by the rabbit. And even after that, he couldn't able to stand properly, stand straight. Spring saw him and realized that this might be the turning point of my life. He offered the support and help to that flower. And very simply, beautifully, that flower accept that help. And that flower just take that spring and just go from down and straight stand up. And after that, they start living happily ever after life. But every time when they remember that time when the spring was used to very fearful and sad spring, they could laugh so much. And now, tell me, what brings that change in their life? What was that point? What was that the turning point in their life, in the spring and flower's life, which brings that happiness, which brings their world vast, increased into the bigger world, changes into the bigger world? That was flexibility and adaptability. Spring was flexible and flower adapt him, and they live a happily life. Now take few seconds and think about that situation when the spring was in the inside that tiny space inside the pen. How do you feel? And think about the other situation when he's outside that bigger space in the bigger world. Let's move on to the topic. Let's discuss the types of flexibility. So, there is 3 types of flexibility. The first one is physical flexibility. The second one is psychological flexibility. And the third, and very important, I would say, spiritual flexibility. So we will discuss each flexibility in different ways with different examples so that we can understand it properly. So let's start with physical flexibility. What do you think the physical flexibility is? So yes, as you can see in the picture, the physical flexibility is related to our body. The physical exercise, yoga, physical yoga, or the gym, or running, walking, doing exercise for our physical well-being. It's called physical flexibility. That's we all know. It's very common. And also we took that session after we done our gym. After like 15 minutes or before 5 minutes, we do the warm-up, we do the stretching. That's just to check the flexibility of our joints, our body. Let's move on to the next type of flexibility, which is psychological flexibility. Now, if you can see the picture on your screen, the psychological flexibility, it's about the mind, which creates thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So if the physical flexibility is a one part of us, the psychological flexibility is the other side, which is also important. So the psychological flexibility, how you can check if your thoughts, emotions and feelings are healthy. There is no wasteful thoughts, no negative thoughts. You have the positivity in everything, which means you have the psychological flexibility in your mind. So in psychological flexibility, there is 4 aspects which we will see in the different examples. So those 4 aspects in our life is flexibility with self, flexible in relationships, flexible in society, or we can say social flexibility, and last, it's workplace flexibility. So these all 4 aspects comes under this psychological flexibility, the mind flexibility. So we will discuss this in the other examples. So now let's move on. Let's see the further examples. But before that, I want to ask you why the flexibility is important. What is the importance of flexibility? What do you think? In every day, why I need to be flexible? And you can ask this question to yourself. How often I need to be flexible in my life? Because often we say that if I'm flexible in every situation, which means people will think that I'm weak, that I cannot do anything. It doesn't mean that you're weak. The flexibility doesn't mean that you're not strong. Or another way to ask this question, are you naturally or normally flexible in the life and open to change? Or sometimes you resist to the change. Sometimes you're inflexible in specific situation where you feel that I can't change, I can't accept that situation. Just think about that moment. What was that state of mind when you were forced to flexible? It could be by your boss at your workplace, or it could be by your family member, or by your family, or in your friend circle to do something. Visualize that situation. How do you feel at that time? Because the flexibility, it's not the resistance, it's not you have to, it's your innate quality of being. It's our natural virtue that we all have it. We don't need to bring it from somewhere, from someone. It is all we have inside our mind. That is called flexible mind. Now let's move on. So let's discuss why we need to be flexible. What are the benefits of the flexibility? If we are flexible, what we will get? Because all the time when we are doing something, we always think that what I'm getting from that. So let's discuss that. So there are so many benefits to be flexible in the life. Remember, it's all about the mind, all about your inner world. There is nothing about the physical body or the physical world. So let's go to the journey of the inner world again. So the first, I need to be flexible then I can improve the social understanding. So in that social understanding, you can say it could be in relationship, in my family, that I need to be skillful in the society, how to respond in the right way, how to express my feelings, how to accept their point of view, their values and beliefs, with carrying out my own virtues together. So flexibility helps us to improve the social understanding, then it will help us to mind health and the wellness, and then it will help us to develop the power to adjust and flow in the life. It helps us to build the stability in the life, creativity, uniqueness, or it increase the adaptability in the situations, and unlimited joy, satisfaction, and the acceptance in the life. And last, it helps us to bring the balance in the life, which is very important in our life, to go with the flow. Now take few moments and think about these all benefits, and it's all about our journey. It's all the practical examples now we are going to put into the practice. So you can take any one of benefit and put this into the practice. You can choose yours, whichever you feel that yes, I was flexible in that situation and I get this, I built this quality. Just take any and let's go on the journey. So we all talked about that to improve the social understanding. That is about the relationship, family, group. Let's go to the mind health and wellness. So we do so much, a lot about the physical fitness and the physical health and wellness. But today the question is what we are doing for our mind, for our emotional health. What we are doing for that. Take few seconds. Think what you do when there is any situation comes in your life which is tough, which is hard to face, but still you're doing some efforts to do that, to accept that reality. Take few seconds and think about this. What you are doing for your emotional health, for your mind wellness, for your mind health. Let's move on to the next. So the next is develop, if you're flexible in your life, you can develop the adjustment and stability, the power to let go and flow with the situation, with the life. So here, we all know that if there is a storm come, you can visualize that there is a storm going on and it's so windy outside. And we all know the tree which is stiff, which does not want to wind, and the tree is stand against that wind, what will happen? What will happen after? Of course, it will break, it will crack, and it won't be able to stand again if it's standing against. So it's same. Put this example in your life, or like a pen or spring. We can see that the spring was stiffed inside that tiny space, inside that pen, and he was thinking that that's my whole world, which was not true. and we all saw what he have found after when he go to the outer world, when he saw the bigger picture of life. So as we can take the example of stiff tree versus the bamboo or the willow tree, we can see that those are bend with the air. So if the flow of air is going this way, so they will bend, and when the storm is done, they will stand again. That's we need to practice in our life. Now visualize yourself in the situation and see that where you are standing. Are you stiffed in your life, rigid in that specific situation, or you are like a bamboo tree? You can mold yourself and then you can stand back, but never give up. Think about that. Let's move on. So the next benefit, we can say, if I'm flexible in my life, I can be more creative. And if you can see the screen, that what brings the creativity up? So let's take an example of the teamwork. We all know when we go to any organization and we see their core values, what we see in all core values, we saw that the teamwork, one of them, which is very important nowadays, the teamwork, which brings that organization with the more innovative and magical, the bigger, great ideas. Because that creativity is coming from the teamwork. Because it doesn't matter that you are at the higher position or someone is a junior to you. When you are working in the team, you are welcoming all the ideas, because what you research is different. The pattern of your brain is different than me. What I have researched will be the different, which when we bring all this together, we will be more creative. And what brings this creativity in teamwork is the flexibility, that we can see the higher position, we can say the manager is welcoming the ideas of other team members. He is working in the team and the others are also free to give the opinion. And we can see that magic coming from that teamwork, which is only possible because of the flexibility. When the team is flexible, think about that moment when you were working in that team, how you work, what is the way of yours to work. And believe me, when you put this flexibility in your teamwork, you can see the real results, the reality. Let's move on to the next. So, if I am flexible in my life, I can create the balance, the flow, and the adaptability. Those are also the benefits of the flexibility in the life. So here, let's take the example of water. Did you ever see that water is flowing and then he's facing the rock in his way, and now water stopped and breaking that rock? Did you ever see? Isn't it funny? Because yes, this is also the practical example that if we put in our life, we will be flexible. Because the water, when it flows, it never sees just the one way. And in that way, if the rock is coming, he never wastes the time to break that rock. He just flow into the other way, maybe the left side, maybe from the right side, because he's seeing the more possibilities behind that rock, not just that rock, not just that difficulties, that challenges in our life that we face. As we saw in the story, if the spring was give up and never want to stand back, he can just end up his life in that pen. But at the end, he opened his eyes. He saw the whole world. He saw the more possibilities, more new ways to flow in the life. That helps that spring found the happy life. That brings the balance in his life. And also, the water never said to us that if I'm pouring this water, we can say this glass. I put this water in this glass and now water is resisting to take that shape. No, right? Water took that shape. If I put in the glass, it is took the shape of glass. We should be like that. It does not matter that you are in tough situation. You're facing so much in your life. Be flexible like in water. Take that shape and you can see how you are bringing that self-awareness in your life. Being flexible mind brings you the balance, helps you to adapt in that situation, which will lead to the acceptance, which will fill us with the courage. Let's move on. So, we saw the story of water. Now, let me tell you the small story of the Walt Disney. We all know about the Hollywood Disneyland, which is the biggest creativity of the Walt Disney. What do you think? What brings him there? How he get the success? Do you think he never get failed? He just got the success easily? No. He was the person who was fired from the newspaper by saying that he has lacked creativity. Could you believe that? That the person who have invented this big Disneyland in the Hollywood and he's so famous now, he could be the lack of creativity. What brings him this success was he never gave up. Without fear of failures, he tried again and again in his life. Because at that point when he get failure, he realized the value of the success in his life. The value why he wants to be successful, and that value helps him to always keep going, keep flowing like in water. And he always remember the one quote which is very famous, which you can use in your life, that the failure, it's not the opposite of success. It is the part of success. Now let's start the journey at the next situation when you get failure. Don't think, I want to give up. Don't think it's something opposite that I'm resisting to it. No. Consider it as a part of success. That yes, this is the first step. Either it's failure, but it's a part of my success. I'm taking it. Keep flowing. Now you can visualize your life, how you got the success in any situation, in any goal. Because always be flexible in your method to getting towards your goal. Don't be rigid, because that rigidity creates the disturbance in our thoughts, in emotions, which creates the negativity, fear, anxiety. So this is all about the psychological flexibility. Now let's discuss the third type of flexibility, which is spiritual flexibility. It seems to be very heavy word, we can say. When we said the spirituality, we thought this is something related to the religion, or something related to specific person or their specific values and beliefs. But the true meaning of the spirituality, the true meaning of the spiritual flexibility in our life is being faithful in every situation that coming in your life, without any expectations from others, because the people outside, you don't have any control on them. The situation is outside, the circumstances, the challenges are outside. What is in your control is your feelings, your thoughts, and your emotions. That's all are in your mind. Being flexible mind, you could be a spiritual, flexible well-being. That's how easy it is. The spirituality, it's seeing the positive in every situation, seeing that the benefits in everything. It's called spiritual flexibility. Now let's move on. So this was all about the types and the benefits. Now, how we can put those benefits, or how we can get these results in our practical life. Let's see some implementations, how we can do that. I did this in my life. So in every day, when you are waking up in the morning, start practicing these one by one. And believe me, after a few days, you can see the results. You can see the flexible mind in yourself. So, first, let's start from the inner empowerment and realization. So when I say the inner empowerment, which means I'm talking about the inner being, the inner strength, about the mind, thoughts, feelings that are creating by my mind. Let's move on. So as we always discuss in all the series of the self-care is, and the most important part, silence time with your thoughts. It doesn't mean that you're sitting on the chair using your phone or listening to the music. You're thinking that I am sitting with my mind. No. Those music, using the phone, it's also creating the thoughts in your mind. What you have to see is that how my thoughts are going on. How you can check that? Spend some time with your mind, or we can call it filtration. When you are sitting in silence for a few minutes every day, you can check the thoughts are going on in my mind. Are they positive or negative, or wasteful or useful? If it's useful, keep that thought. If they are helping you to develop, to grow stronger in your life, keep them. Otherwise, remove them. That silence time helps you a lot. Then keep checking on your thoughts. And then give a good food to your mind in every morning. When you start your morning with your phone and watching the news, listening horrible, terrified attacks around this world, or maybe nowadays we keep checking in the morning how many COVID cases are in our city, in the Calgary, in the Alberta, or around the Canada, around the world. how many there's deaths. What it is doing, it's depleting our energy. It is creating wasteful thoughts, which is very, very bad for our mind, which rigidity, which creates a rigidity in our life. We are unable to accept that. It creates a depletion in our positive, powerful thoughts. Let's move on. So, as always, stop expecting from the people, from the situation, like to be your way, that I want this like in my way. Accept it, whatever is coming. Be flexible in your mind. Stop the rigidity. So there is 6 powerful ways that helps you to be flexible in your mind, that helps you to bring the balance in your life. Those are, first of all, when you are in any situation, now visualize that situation that maybe you are in yesterday when you were inflexible, or maybe few years ago, or maybe few days ago. Visualize, bring that situation in front of your eyes. Recall that. So first of all, recognize your tension, which means the thoughts, that process is what's going on in your mind. Recognize it. Find out it is useful or not. If it's not, leave it on the side. Is it positive or negative? If it's negative, leave it on the side. So now, at the very first point, you are recognizing that where I am right now going, where my mind is going, the thoughts are going. And next is dealing with feelings. So when you are in any specific situation, of course, you are feeling sometimes with high energy, or sometimes with low energy, or sometimes you said, my mood is off, I'm not feeling well. What does that mean? That something is going on, keep going on in your mind. So recognizing that tension, that situation, go to the next step is dealing with your feelings. What you are feeling at that moment. You are at higher energy or at the low vibrations. Feel that. Deal with them and check it. You can use this process, that check, realize, change and act, which will help you to give the right response in that specific situation. Let's move on. Very important. In any situation when you are presenting, stay relaxed. Don't be panic. Don't stress out. Have some patience. It could be the hard situation. You could say that my mind was not working according to me. It wasn't in my control. Okay. So stay relaxed means take a small exercise. So inhale, take the deep breath. Count 1, 2, 3. Every time when you're facing to the tough situation. But when you're exhaling that deep breath, exhale in 5 count. Start from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you reach at 1, you can see that energy, that feelings, how you dealt with it. You can be relaxed in that moment, that it's okay. If it's a tough situation, I'm accepting it. I'm self-aware about that. Next, move on. So nowadays, the internet is the biggest thing that never ends. The book, in previous days, when we start reading it, there could be some 500 pages or more than that we finish one day. But the internet, it's a biggest book that never finished, that could never been finished in our life. Nobody can do that because there's a lot of information. So if you want to be flexible in your life, like a spring and flower, always stay relaxed, and you don't need to know everything, because that phone or that internet, it's bringing so much information to us, but we don't know which information is the positive information, which is negative. Our mind does not know that. We have to use our intellect to outweigh that negative and positive. But when you are watching something, your mind is taking that, because that is the food of your mind. That will create your emotions, feelings in the specific situation when it comes to your life. So be flexible in that situation. You don't need to know everything. Just leave it as it is. Whatever is right now in that present moment, accept it and go with the flow. Let's move on. So always believe in yourself. Don't doubt yourself with the fear and anxiety that you cannot do that. When you're flexible, you can develop the confidence in your life. That confidence helps you to believe, to trust on your instincts. And these instincts are the turbo for your flexible mind. Because the instincts are the natural way of being, where you don't need to add anything from the outer world. You don't need to imitating others. You don't need to be like someone else. Be like you are, as you are. Be flexible. And always, because this flexibility and your instincts, that is your inner quality. That is already you have in your inside of your mind. Let's move on. So in like youth and in the different age of group, we saw this, that sometimes we thought this is the flexibility, but at that moment we are in the negative impact. We are developing that negative flexibility. For example, the bad habits in our friend circle. Sometimes, let's take an example of smoking. My friend said, let's try once. There's nothing bad. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's okay. I'm flexible. Let's try this. Do you think that is the positive flexibility? That's very important. You have to see. You have to develop your mind like that, so that you can see that this is the negative flexibility which brings me the bad experience for my long run life, which will create this worthlessness, which will disturb my mind. So always keep focusing, keep going on the journey of positive flexibility. And how you can check that you are on the positive flexibility side? You can ask this question to yourself. Am I feeling happy in that specific situation? Is that giving me the peace in my life? I am feeling right in that situation. And that's only your mind, that your flexible mind will help you to go on that journey, to choose the right between both situations. So let's move on. So we have discussed the types, we have discussed the beautiful story of the spring inside the pen and how that spring changed his life by going outside, by open to the change, by acceptance. And we also discussed the benefits of the flexible life. We saw the 6 powerful ways how we can deal with that specific situation, although it's tough or it's hard. So, at last, I would say, so being flexible in mind brings us happiness, love, peace, and the balance in our life. Take the example of pot. I fill that pot with the water, but now I want to fill more water in it, or I want to fill fresh water in it. What do you think? Should I do that? What should I do? I have to empty it, right? Before. So the flexible mind, it's like that water in that pot that I'm filling with the fresh water. Because when you're filling it with these qualities, these virtues that we already have it, you can see the change. And it will also help you to be courageful in your life, carefree, honest, and detached from the physical objects in which we are looking for the happiness, peace, and love, which are not designed to give us these qualities. These are our innate qualities. It's our natural nature of being, of inner being. And when you're feeling that in your pot of life, so you have to empty it before you're feeling these qualities in that. So exclude the fear that you have filled in your pot of life. Anxiety, frustration, stress, worries, distress, depression, and so on. Because nowadays it seems us to our normal vocabulary of life that stress is normal, that worrying about something, it's normal. We cannot be happy openly because we narrowed our mind. Be flexible in that. Take them out and fill it with the love, peace, happiness, and which helps you to bring the balance in your life. Because nowadays we saw that we are getting the COVID vaccination. What people are saying, that the effect of that vaccination, it's in for the limited time. It could be for the 6 month, or you can get the COVID anytime. What helps you to stand in this situation? It's your powerful thoughts. It's your pure positive thoughts from your flexible mind. And if you want to know how you can do that, how you can develop that positive thoughts, I would recommend you to do our 7 days foundation Raj Yoga course. Or you can, if you need to know anything more or you have any questions, you can visit our website of Calgary Center or any nearest center to your city. You can just Google it and check. Thank you very much joining this evening. Have a good evening. Thank you so much.